Hi, I'm Dr. Joyce Mann, and this is Lorraine Green, and we're here to discuss what reflective supervision is.
So, Joyce, could you tell us a little about why you think reflective supervision is so important?
Yeah, sure, Lorraine. I think reflective supervision is something that sets up supervisors for lifelong learning. You start off requiring more kind of didactic teaching and sometimes more directive supervision from your supervisor because there's so much you don't know. But, as you progress, you learn a lot more about everything and anything in the psychology. And then that enables more of a reflective approach because then you can think about, from what you've learned, what can you actually apply in the situation? What did you do well? What can be improved? What more do you need to learn? Was it really that bad? It's a great it's a great model for you to do that reflection yourself. So over time, you become less reliant on your supervisor to give you all the answers to everything.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's such a wonderful skill to develop in new professionals, early career psychs and so on, because it does contribute to your ongoing learning through your career, being open to new experiences, reflecting on what you've achieved so far and where you need to head, and just reflecting on those individual cases as well.
Yeah, and reflecting on all those areas of competency, other areas that maybe you're doing really well in already and other areas you need to focus more on. And then through time, when you develop those competencies, that develops your confidence in general as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Lorraine, what does it mean to show cultural humility? And how do you think this applies in the supervisory relationship?
Look, I think it's vital within the supervisory relationship for you to be aware of the cultural lens that you use about your own culture, but also being aware of the cultures around you and certainly those of your prof psychs, and being quite open in supervision, asking about people's culture, their history, where they're from, those sorts of things is very important. I think a lot of newly registered and prof psychs can feel a bit unsupported in those areas sometimes. So I think it's really important for us to pick that up early and make it a subject within supervision for discussion.
Yeah, and there's already this unspoken power differential in the supervisory relationship, but then you add culture to that as well. And it's important to make those things explicit, I think. And it can be a conversation that doesn't have to be awkward. It's you just being authentic about, what you understand and what you'd like to learn, and being humble around what you don't know as well. Because, there can be cultural differences in how we learn information, how we receive information, how we communicate as well. Some cultures are more direct in their communication, some talk around the issue a little bit. So, interpersonal relationship issues can come up in supervision if we don't address these things as well. So I think it's setting it up, as you said, for success in the beginning and not being afraid of those differences as being a hindrance. Diversity is a great thing, and it's a matter of learning about what that means for everyone and how that can impact on that the supervisory alliance.
Yeah, for sure. And it is a great strength, I believe. And, I think it mirrors what we would be expecting our provisional psychologists to be doing within their relationships with their clients, because we will be diving in and out of other people's lives and so on. As psychologists, it's really important that we're able to set that up in a safe supervision relationship, that they can then go out and use those same tools and techniques out in, with their clients.
Yeah, I think one example would be, differences in communication styles. And for some supervisors of cultures where being outspoken isn't as big a thing, you do need to be a bit more inquiring and give that space to allow that supervisor to raise whatever they need to raise, and making it a space that's supportive and comfortable for them to say these things, because it doesn't always feel natural.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think they always know what to expect from supervision. So we need to kind of lead that a lot in those early sessions. And this is one of those areas that, we need to be quite explicit about.
Yeah, and you're setting things up for success, right? So, those differences are acknowledged in the beginning, and it's something that isn't a concern. It's just something we need to be mindful of, and that can be a really good strength as well, to have diversity and to be able to learn. It's not just a one-way relationship of learning, it can be a two-way thing as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So Joyce, what general tips would you give to other supervisors in this space?
Supervising others is a very rewarding thing in general. When someone who is in the early career stage, they're growing in their practice and their confidence, and you play a part in that. It's so nice when you have a clinical discussion and maybe you're suggesting a few things and they actually go back and do it, and it's led to a really great outcome for the client. And that boosts the client's ability, but also your supervisor's confidence as well. And then slowly, you can do more of that troubleshooting approach and empower them to think of other solutions as well. That's a part I really enjoy. And I think also, the more you teach other people, the more you grow as well. And it makes you a bit more accountable for you being up to date with the literature and what is evidence-based practice. So you're teaching and you're promoting the right things.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's one of the great things about being a supervisor, is that it really does force you to stay up to date with things, because it goes by so quickly. So it's good to stop and have a think about things and look at the literature and see what's going on, and then have really quite robust discussions about that and how it applies to the work we're doing.
And having supervised so many supervisees through the years, and you have different personalities and different cultures, and the relationship is always a bit different. And it's great to be able to reflect on why things come up for you that are potentially triggering or you find uncomfortable, and working on those, I think, particular transference or counter-transference issues that can come up as well is really important, because they do come up, because it's a relational, there's a huge relational aspect to supervision.
Certainly. And I think that, a lot of our grads are new start, like they're very young sometimes, so it is very much their first kind of foray into work and understanding and learning what these relationships look like, and how all of this works is just really important.
I think back to my supervision, and I've had some terrific supervisors who have really encouraged me and built my confidence. And I think it's important to be mindful of doing that for other people as well, because you're trying to set people up to be independent in their work and to do good things, obviously, and not cause harm, bare minimum, but really feel excited about psychology and working with different clients, and to inject that enthusiasm and also safeguard supervisees, with their self-care practices. I think that's really important too.
Yeah, I think it's a great privilege to be able to supervise people into their first part of their career, and then watch them kind of develop and gain their registration and sort of move on and do all those wonderful things. It's a really lovely position to be in, I think.